Hey, sister girl, good morning. So it is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, and I'm on my way to McDonald's. So I have this new obsession, and it's hash browns. It's not a big deal, I know, but it is delicious to me. And the way I like to order my hash browns is very crispy. I can say well done, but I want them to understand how crispy I want them. And so that's how I order them. But anywho, I wanted to check in because for the past week and a half, I would say, has been very challenging in a different way than I've been challenged before. And I'm going to try to explain it because I think it's important to be as detailed as possible during my check-ins, because I use these check-ins for me to go back and just see my growth or see where I could still be struggling and what I could be learning or what I've learned since my last check-in, you know. So there's so many layers to us, so many layers. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay, first of all, did you hear that? Did you hear it? All right. It's just so delicious. So, as I was saying, I don't think I remember what I was saying. Okay. I was talking about the different layers to us as humans. And the moment that we overcome one thing, here we are faced with another thing that maybe you thought wasn't there, or that you were healed from, or that you had already overcome. It's like there's so many layers to us that it takes courage to have to face them and peel them back in order for us to deal with it. Like, to have to deal with it, to have to acknowledge it, to have to say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna sit with it, and just for a moment, so that I can navigate and go through whatever it is that I need to go through in order to get to the other side. But it's hard, and it's frustrating, and sometimes even discouraging. And I even found myself even questioning, like, have I even grown, right? Because with every layer comes with its own challenges. And it's as if so the best way to describe it for me is, for every layer, not only is it revealing so much about what has caused you pain, what has been destructive in your life, what has fill in the blank, right? There's also another layer to you that's evolving, and another layer to you that no longer is. So in peeling the layers of who you once were, makes you then question if who you currently are is even real. And so it made me question a lot about my growth, my healing, the love that I have for myself. And I was reminded that, yeah, I have grown. Yes, I have come far. Yes, I have healed. Yes, I've evolved. Yes, I've learned. Yes, I've come a long way. But I'm also still doing those things. With every layer, I will continue to learn. I will continue to grow. I will continue to heal. I will continue and continue and continue. So it's a journey. It's a journey. It's not like you overcome one thing and you've arrived. No, it's not like that at all. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating, but it takes a lot of courage to continue to put in the work, to continue to confront those things, to continue to sit with them, even if it's for a moment. I'm not saying that it's good to sit with them and just dwell and, no, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about sitting with those feelings that maybe you've run away from for so long, that you finally get so sick and tired of being sick and tired of going around the same mountain over and over and over, and it looks differently, but it's still the same mountain, that you're like, all right, let's just deal with it and go through whatever we need to go through, so then I can just continue living my life, but in the way that I'm meant to live it, the way God intended for me to live my life. And it's hard to even accept the fact that in our lives we will go through hard times. In our lives we will go through suffering. In our lives we will have these trials and tribulations and these hardships that in the moment when we're going through them, it doesn't make any sense as to why we have to experience those moments. But it's necessary. It really is. And it's unfortunate for us to have gone through so much of what we've gone through, because it's like, all right, God, you could have allowed me to go through whatever else I needed to go through in order to learn this same lesson, but why this? But it makes sense in hindsight. And sometimes even when it doesn't make sense in hindsight, that there's a purpose for why God is allowing us to go through what we need to go through in order for us to learn. Because for me, I must say, I know how stubborn I can be sometimes, and it takes for me to have to I'm a brat. Could be a brat when it comes to my Heavenly Father, and He knows it. But just like any good father, he puts his foot down and he's like, enough. And I'm grateful that He's a God of mercy. He's a God of grace. He's a God of love. And because of that is why I am able to face what I need to face head on, because I know that He's with me. I know that He's standing beside me and reminding me of the authority that I have in Him to be able to face whatever tries to rise up against me, to be able to confront what I need to confront in order to heal, in order to grow, in order to call it what it is. Because sometimes we are experiencing what we're experiencing and we justify for why we're going through it, or for why we should not have to go through it. It's just hard, man. And all while being a parent, doing the best that we can to raise our children. But yet here we are, re-parenting ourselves. It ain't easy. It ain't easy, but it's necessary. And so that's all. Okay, toodles. This morning my sister asked me, how is my heart doing? And oftentimes we check in on one another and we ask how we're feeling, how's our heart, how's our mind. And I said, my response was, because there's been a lot, so a little bit of a backstory. There's been a lot that has been going on in our lives individually, as far as what we're discovering, what we are uncovering, what we are unpacking, what we are navigating through, what we are healing from, what we are growing from, what we are evolving into. It's just so much. There's so many layers to our individual journey, but to know that we're experiencing so many of the same things, although in different ways, because my experience and her experience were different, but the result and the outcome of those experiences feel similar, if any of that makes sense. And so I told her, my response was, my heart It's not necessarily fragile, but it's tender. And she's like the queen of analogies. Like, homegirl can think about things that I'm like, oh my God, that's deep. But that's just her. I feel like that's her gift. And she's like, okay, so you know how when you ask for a steak, how would you consider your heart? Is it pink? Is it medium? Is it medium well? Is it well done? And I had to think about it. And I said, I think it's medium. And she said, okay, all are good. You know, some people like it pink, some people like it medium, some people like it medium well or well done. It doesn't mean that any of it are bad in itself. It's just, it's processed differently, it's cooked differently. And I forget, I mean, word for word exactly what she said concerning, or, you know, using that as an example as to how our heart is being handled and dealt with by God. And we understand that it's all for our good and for His glory. And it's painful, you know, because we're experiencing the pressure, we're experiencing the heat, the fire, you know, all that comes with the process of healing and growing, and having to be courageous enough to face the things that maybe for a long time we ran away from, or just were not fully aware of. And now that we can't pretend as if these things aren't what they are or what they were, it's a decision at this point on whether or not we're going to have the courage to confront it, to sit with it in order for us to be able to overcome it and get to the other side. But the sitting with it is not something that many people are willing to do, because sitting with it means that you have to then make space for your feelings, for the reality of the thing, as opposed to what you perceived it to be, or what you trained your mind to think or believe it was, you know. So it's a lot of unlearning to relearn. It's a lot of peeling off the layers, only to realize that there's so many more layers are underneath. But it's not our responsibility to have to uncover it all at the same time, you know. And sometimes we want to just peel off the layer, and it's like, but we got to deal with each layer, and each layer may require different things, and one layer may require more time than the others, you know what I mean? So it's a lot. And at one point I had to ask myself, like, in one of the layers that I felt like was able to uncover, I had to ask myself, like, am I really as healed as I thought I was? Am I really, do I really love myself as I thought I did? You know, have I grown? In those moments you feel like maybe you haven't. What if I convinced myself that, yeah, I did heal, and yeah, you know, this doesn't affect me anymore, that doesn't bother me anymore, this doesn't play a part in my adult years now. And it's like so much happening that, but the truth is that yes, I have healed, I have grown, I have come far. And it's just that this journey is a lifelong journey. I will never arrive, you know what I'm saying? I will never, you know, get to a place, and I don't want to ever get to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm good, because then that would mean that I'm relying on me, I'm depending on me. And throughout this journey, I praise God for having Him by my side, because had it not been for Him, I don't know how I'd be able to handle these things. I don't know how I'd be able to sit with these things. I don't know how I'd be able to put in the work in partnership with him. You know, I don't know how I would be able to do this alone. I couldn't.